your department's strategy statement, it lists a number of priorities, and priority E is strengthening Ireland's place in Europe and the world. Now, in the context of the current crisis and invasion and war in Ukraine, I want to know what that means. What is our role in this? Obviously, all of us believe Putin should be stopped, he should leave Ukraine, and that his invasion is inexcusable. But I worry deeply from the comments of the Taoiseach today about talking about closer cooperation with the project of European militarisation, and indeed your earlier comments essentially absolving NATO as being some sort of defensive alliance, and failing to acknowledge that it has, for example, conducted a bloody invasion and occupation very recently in Afghanistan, that it bombed Libya. I just wonder, is your opposition to warmongers like Putin, is it selective in that we oppose some warmongers, but we don't oppose others? We had a briefing today with people from Yemen who were asking, why is there no action being taken over the role of the United States, Britain and France in arming the Saudi dictatorship for conducting a disastrous war that has claimed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people in Yemen?
Could I just first of all say, I think it was Deputy Boyd Barrett, in terms of Ireland's place in Europe and what does that mean? And could I say it basically means this, that we, from the outset of this crisis, have decided to take a proactive role in supporting a unified response from the 27 member states of the European Union in respect of responding to Vladimir Putin's assault on the Ukrainian people. And it meant, as I said at the European Council meeting, that we wanted the most comprehensive and wide-ranging, robust set of sanctions that were possible. That was the statement I outlined. I made it clear at the meeting as well. And we supported the conclusions that had been put together by European Union, United States, Canada, United Kingdom and other like-minded democracies who uphold universal values of free media, free speech, freedom of association, democracy, territorial integrity of a country, sovereignty, self-determination. Those are what European democracies support, and we're going to be proactive in terms of supporting those values. I do take issue with the equivalence that you draw up and have been doing over successive weeks with other deputies in respect of drawing a sort of a moral equivalence between what Vladimir Putin is doing and member states of NATO. I think it's fundamentally wrong. And last week, I'll tell you why. Because every country in Europe, irrespective of whether they were members of NATO or not, did not want a war, did everything possibly to prevent a war. Whether it was the German Chancellor at the 11th hour going again to Russia, and anyone who knows the German-Russian relationship, Germany has tried everything. Diplomatic channel, every channel available to Germany. They have tried, yeah, but Germany is not. France. So is France. France has tried everything. Emmanuel Macron, as president with the presidency of Europe, has tried everything. And you don't give credit for that. You don't even acknowledge it. You actually call them warmongers on the same level as Putin. And I think it's nonsense. And it's just, I think it's all wrong. And I think it's just undermining the broader unity of purpose here. No, in relation to the wider issue, I mean, in terms of Afghanistan, like for 20 years, irrespective of what you say, the Western presence in Afghanistan gave some light to the women of Afghanistan in terms of education, in terms of access. Now they have nothing because of the moving on. Look, there's no question in terms of freeing up Afghanistan from the clutches of the Taliban and other extremists. We're back now. But if I could equally say to you that in terms of the look, you see, I think what really draws out is, like, and I just had to put on the record that we need to be very crystal clear and consistent. This idea of attacking pro forma or in a formulaic way, and I'm not saying every deputy is doing that, sort of Russian aggression, and then pivoting to NATO and other countries as being the real culprits. That is, to me, unacceptable. And morally, I can't stand over that without calling it out. And there's too much of that has been going on in this House now for the last number of months. You need to stand up. You need to stand up and be counted and call this out without equivocating on it and without trying to dilute it and so on like that. And I do think war crimes are being committed. But I want to come to the point. The security architecture has changed because of Putin's actions. That's the point. I listened to what the Taoiseach said. The Taoiseach referenced Irish military neutrality. But equally, the global rules in terms of a rules-based multilateral order has been turned upside down by Vladimir Putin. It has implications. The one thing I observe is the vulnerability of Europe. The European Union cherishes democracy, social systems, education. I know, and open trade and free trade and so on like that. All that is now vulnerable. If you look at the scale of Putin's forces on the European continent, be it naval, be it air force, be over 150,000 troops with missiles and every type of advanced weapon, can we honestly say it won't go beyond Ukraine? If you talk to people in Estonia, in Poland, the Baltics, talk to them. They don't see NATO as a warmonger. I said this to you last week. The Prime Minister of Estonia, her grandmother, was deported to Siberia when Stalin took over after the Nazis. Her mother was 6 months old. They said after 1941, after 1941, they'd never be alone again. That's why they joined the European Union. That's why they joined NATO. It gives them some semblance of security. You need to get real in terms of people on the border of Russia and what they're facing and the fears and anxieties that they experience. Sorry, last number. I think there's...
No, please. There are a number of questions.
On that, Poland has accepted over 100,000 migrants from Ukraine right now.